Milan is the largest city in northern Italy, and also the central hub for trains in the region. There are 24 railway stations in Milan that connect the city with the entirety of Italy and other countries as well. Since the huge explosion of rail transport in the 19th century, Milan has heavily invested in the development of this type of transport. Nowadays, it is very easy to arrive in Milan by train, and millions of passengers yearly utilize the major Milanese train stations. A video about trains in Milan has to start at Milano Centrale station. Once the biggest train station in Europe, it is so astonishing that it was coined the Cathedral of Movement. The station is located at the northern end of central Milan and was constructed to replace the old central station. It sees 120 million passengers pass through per year. To say that Milano Centrale station is beautiful is an understatement. Ulysses Tacchini drew inspiration from classical Roman architecture, the Vienna Secession, the Union Station in Washington, D.C., and German stations of its time. King Victor Emmanuel III laid the symbolic foundation stone in 1906, although Stacchini wasn't awarded the construction of the station until 1912. The construction was halted due to World War I and economic crisis, but was restarted in 1925 and finished in 1931. Today, the station has 24 tracks that connect Milan with the rest of Italy and international destinations, such as Basel, Lugano, Geneva, Zurich, Paris, Vienna, Marseille, and Munich. Lines at Milano Centrale include Milan-Bologna, high-speed and traditional lines, Milan-Turin, high-speed and traditional lines, Milan-Genoa, Milan-Venice, Milan-Chiasso, Milan-Domodossola, and Milan-Lecco. The station is also connected with Milan-Malpensa Airport through the Malpensa Express shuttle train. I went over the Malpensa Express service in this other video. Check it out after you finish this one. Also, consider leaving a like and subscribing, it really helps the channel. Even though most lines out of Milan start at Milano Centrale, there are other main train stations. Milan Porta Garibaldi is the second busiest train station in Milan by volume of passengers, transporting 25 million people per year. It was built in 1961 and it handles most of Milan's suburban traffic, or S-lines, as well as some long-range trains, French TGVs to and from Paris, and some high-speed trains from within Italy arrive here. The station has 12 terminus platforms on the ground level and 10 through platforms located in the underground tunnels. Through platforms connect the station with Milano Centrale, Milano Lambrate, Milano Greco Pirelli, and Milano Lancetti. Lines that stop at Milano Porta Garibaldi are Milan-Turin, Milan-Domodossola, Milan-Chiasso, and the Malpensa Express. Another main station that is serviced by the Malpensa Express is Milano Cadorna. Milano Cadorna station was opened in 1879 and is the centermost train station in Milan. It was once destroyed due to bombing raids during the Second World War, but restored in 1999. The Castello Sforzesco is next to the station and all major attractions are at a walkable distance. The station has 10 platforms and 2 train lines, Milan-Asso and Milan-Saronno, which make it the 8th busiest train station in Milan. Milano Porta Genova is the last terminus station of the city, the last stop for regional trains from Mortara. These 4 stations are the only ones that have lines that end there. The rest of stations are only pass-through stations, meaning that trains either continue to another Milan station or come from one. Other important train stations are Milano Rogoredo, which is the southern gate for the Milanese train network and an important node for the suburban lines. Milano Lambrate is the 4th biggest train station in Milan. Milano Bovisa, another important node for suburban lines and close to the Bovisa campus of the Politecnico di Milano. Milano Domodossola, an important modern station, and Milan Certosa, which is the oldest still functional train station in Milan. Here is a map of the 24 train stations around Milan. Now that we have gone over the train stations, let's look at the main train lines that serve the city of Milan. Of course, there are so many train lines divided by urban, suburban, regional, and international lines that pass through Milan. However, there are 10 main lines that connect Milan with the rest of the region and of Italy. Almost every other line is an offshoot or an addition to these 10 major lines. The Milan-Bologna line is divided into the high-speed line and the traditional line. The high-speed line is part of the main Italian high-speed line that runs from Turin to Salerno via Milan, Bologna, Florence, Rome, and Naples. Trains on this line reach a speed of 300 kilometers per hour. This is the most common line that connects Milan with the rest of the country and vice versa. The traditional line connects both cities parallel to the high-speed line and closely follows the ancient Roman road of Via Aemilia. This line goes through cities like Piacenza, Parma, Reggio Emilia, Modena, and obviously Bologna. Cities that were founded by the Romans after the construction of Via Aemilia. Main Milanese stations on this line are Milano Centrale, Milano Rogoredo, and Milano Lambrate. The Milan-Turin line is also divided into the high-speed line and the traditional line. The high-speed line is also part of the main Italian high-speed line that connects northern Italy with southern Italy. Turin actually being the northern terminus or last stop of this line. The traditional line passes through the cities of Settimo Torinense, Chivasso, Santià, Vercelli, Novara, Magenta, and Rho. The railway closely follows the Milan-Turin Autostrada or motorway. Main Milanese stations on this line are Milano Centrale, Milano Porta Garibaldi, Milano Certosa, and Milano Villa Pizzone. The Milan-Genoa line is a traditional line that connects both cities and stops in Pavia. The line goes through Tortana in order to cross the Giovi Pass onto Genoa. There is a high-speed line under construction that is expected to be open in 2026. Main Milanese stations on this line are Milano Centrale, Milano Rogoredo, and Milano Lambrate. The Milan-Venice line is a traditional line that goes through the cities of Treviglio, Brescia, Verona, Vicenza, and Padua. A parallel high-speed line is under construction and is supposed to be operational in 2029. Some high-speed rail sections along the line have already been constructed. The Milan-Brescia and the Padua-Venice sections have been completed, while the Brescia-Verona section is to be finished in 2026 and the Verona-Padua in 2029. Main Milanese stations on this line are Milano Centrale, Milano Lambrate, and Milano Forlanini. The Milan-Chiasso line is a traditional line. It follows the Milan-Monza line for its first section, which is the second oldest railway in Italy built in 1840. Since then, it has been extended to reach Lake Como, and eventually all the way to Switzerland. Chiasso is the southernmost city in Switzerland, and its station serves as a terminus for the Swiss railway. From Chiasso, you can get to anywhere in Switzerland and even other European countries. Main Milanese train stations on this line are Milano Centrale, Milano Porta Garibaldi, and Milano Greco Pirelli. The Milan-Lecco line is a traditional line that also follows the Milan-Monza line. At Monza, the line divides into the Milan-Chiasso and the Milan-Lecco lines. The latter line connects Milan with Lecco, a city that lies at the end of the southern eastern branch of Lake Como. Along the line, one can stop at Monza, Carnate, Calozio Corte, and Lecco. Main Milanese stations on this line are Milano Centrale, Milano Porta Garibaldi, and Milano Greco Pirelli. The Milan-Domodossola line is a traditional line and one of Italy's busiest lines for both passenger and freight trains. The line goes through Gallarate, Arona, and Stresa. From Domodossola, the Simplon line traverses Switzerland to Lausanne, Geneva, and Basel via Brig. Main Milanese stations on this line are Milano Porta Garibaldi, Milano Certosa, and Milano Villa Pizzone. The Milan-Asso line is a traditional line that connects the city with the Canso Asso train station, north of the city, close to Como and the Swiss border. It stops at different small towns along the route, and the trip takes about 1 hour and 22 minutes from terminus to terminus. Main Milanese train stations on this line are Milano Cadorna, Milano Domodossola, Milano Bovisa, and Milano Afori. The Milan-Saronno line is a traditional line that connects Milan with the amaretto city of Saronno. In addition, the line can be considered a section of the Malpensa Express line toward Milano Cadorna. Main Milanese train stations on this line are Milano Cadorna, Milano Domodossola, Milano Bovisa, and Milano Quarto Giario. The Milano-Mortara line is a traditional line that takes you southwest of Milan to the city of Mortara. It also stops at Vigevano. The section from Mortara to Vigevano was opened in 1854 and the remainder in 1870. Main Milanese train stations on this line are Milano Porta Genova and Milano San Cristoforo. Even though these are the main lines from or to Milan, there are so many more lines you can ride on. Plus, the metro system, the Belt Railway, and the Passante system also add miles of tracks. Always check the Trenord, Trenitalia, and Italo websites for the best train options to wherever in Italy you want to reach. I have linked all the websites in the description box. Hopefully, this video gave you a good insight not only into Milan train system but also that of Italy's. If you have any questions, write them in the comment section and I will try to answer them. Consider subscribing and leaving a like. God bless you and have a great day.